Hello and welcome to your Fantasy Premier League one-stop shop. I'm your host Stephen Gallagher and today we're looking at all things Game Week 6. Let's get straight into it. Starting with all the news since Game Week 5, Isak played 45 minutes and scored a goal against Southampton in the League Cup. Ekitike also got a red card, so he'll miss Game Week 6. We would expect Isak to start in that case. Not sure if he'll get the full 90 minutes though. Madueke is out for 6 to 8 weeks with a knee injury, which means Saka should be expected to start on the wing for them. Erling Haaland is yellow flagged with a back injury, but Pep says that he thinks he should be fine for the Burnley game. Let's take a quick look at who's been conceding the least XG so far this season. At the top of the table, it's Newcastle, Arsenal, then Bournemouth. Then a bit of a jump down to Sunderland, who have actually been really solid defensively, although their fixtures have been pretty easy, followed by Liverpool, Fulham and Palace in 7th, and then an even bigger jump down to the rest of the teams there. If we compare each team's XG conceded with their fixture difficulty rating from a defensive perspective over the next 5 game weeks, we get this plot here. We can see Arsenal in the top right there, Fulham, Bournemouth and Newcastle also there. Newcastle, maybe not the best fixtures, but they've been really solid defensively. I guess you could say the same for Sunderland and Liverpool there. Not the best fixtures, but 2 good defences. We'll see if Sunderland continue to perform this well defensively. Then at the top of the table, we have Spurs, City and Forest. Maybe haven't been performing the best from an XG conceded perspective, but their fixtures are really good going forward. So which teams should we be targeting? If we rank each team by their fixture difficulty multiplied by their defensive strength, we get this table, which gives us an idea of who is most likely to get clean sheets over the next 5 game weeks. Arsenal at the top of the table. They've Newcastle away this game week, followed by West Ham at home, Fulham away, Crystal Palace at home and Burnley away. Some really nice fixtures there, especially the West Ham at home and Burnley away fixture. But the first fixture here, Newcastle away, I know it is green on this table, but I'm not quite sure that it's an easy fixture for Arsenal. Maybe from a defensive perspective, you could imagine that Arsenal can get a clean sheet against anyone really, but I don't think a clean sheet is a sure thing for Arsenal here, but you can't really back against them, and I can see a lot of people going for Arsenal defenders on their wildcard, which I will get to shortly. Second in the table is Fulham. They have Villa away, Bournemouth away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, and then Wolves at home. When you read out those fixtures, they're actually not that easy. I think just based off the XG of these teams so far this season, they do have green fixtures, especially Aston Villa, who have been really poor from an XG and XG conceded perspective. I think that combined with the fact that Fulham do have quite a good defence so far this season puts them near the top of the table, but they are still quite a jump down from Arsenal if you look at their numbers on the far right column. Personally, I think Fulham defenders, especially Anderson, is a good buy right now, but an even better buy from game week 10 onwards. Bournemouth third in the table here. They have Leeds away, Fulham at home, Crystal Palace away, Forest at home, and then Man City away in game week 10. You can see here that their fixture difficulty rating isn't even that high, but it's their defensive strength and how solid they've been defensively this season that is bringing them up the table, and the likes of Senesi is going to be a very popular pick on Wildcard this week. With how solid Bournemouth have been defensively, they have decent fixtures, but also the fact that he's been raking in a lot of DEFCON points. Fourth in the table are Spurs. They have Wolves at home, Leeds away, Villa at home, and then Everton away and Chelsea at home. So really solid fixtures. They actually rank first in the fixture difficulty column and not so good in the defensive strength column, but you would back them to get 3 clean sheets in the next 3 fixtures, looking at those: Wolves at home, Leeds away, and then Villa at home. Those are really solid fixtures, and I can see someone like Van de Ven or Romero being very popular on Wildcard this week. Newcastle in 5th place. They have Arsenal at home, followed by Forest at home, Brighton away, Fulham at home, and then West Ham away. You can see here the fixtures aren't actually that good, but again, their defensive strength bringing them up the rankings here. They've been a really solid defense. I'm not sure if Arsenal at home is the best time to buy. You could see that being a 0-all fixture, to be fair, but they also have Brighton away. Not the easiest fixtures in the next 3, but after that they do pick up. And then finally, City in 6th. They have Burnley at home, followed by Brentford away, Everton at home, Villa away, and Bournemouth at home. They haven't been putting up the best data from a defensive perspective, but these fixtures are really good, especially this Burnley at home fixture this game week. If you're going to buy a City defender, now is the time to do so, with Burnley at home and then Brentford away in the next 2. On to the attacks. Let's have a look at who's been creating the most XG so far this season. At the top of the table, it is Man City, followed by Man United, then Chelsea, and then a bit of a jump down to the likes of Arsenal and Everton, and another jump down to Crystal Palace and Brighton. Then finally Liverpool, who you would have expected to be higher up on this table, but they have had some hard fixtures so far this season. If we compare each team's XG created with their fixture difficulty rating from an attacking perspective over the next 5 game weeks, we get this plot. As you can see, City, great fixtures, great attack. In the top right here, I think double up on City attack will be very popular on Wildcard with Haaland and Rangers. Also see Man United up there near the top right. Chelsea, Everton, Spurs, all good picks on Wildcard. Players from their attack will be very popular. So which attacks should we be targeting? If we rank each team by their fixture difficulty multiplied by their attack and strength, we get this table which gives us an idea of who will score the most goals over the next 5 game weeks. As you can see, Man City at the top right. They have the Burnley at home fixture, followed by Brentford away and Everton at home, then Villa away. You can see them scoring 3+ goals in all of these games with how good they've looked going forward, but also with how poor some of these defenses have looked so far this season. Liverpool second in the table with Crystal Palace away, then Chelsea away, followed by Man United at home, Brentford away and Villa at home. The fixtures are pretty tough over the next 2, Crystal Palace away and Chelsea away, but then it gets nice. You get Man United at home, which Liverpool love to turn up in, Brentford away and Villa at home. So from game week 8 onwards, and especially from game week 12 onwards, those Liverpool fixtures are really nice. And although they haven't created the most XG so far this season, they do have a really strong attack, and you can see them scoring goals against anyone here. Everton are third in this table. They have West Ham at home, followed by Palace at home, then City away, Spurs at home and Sunderland away. Really nice fixtures here, especially the West Ham at home and the Sunderland away fixture on either end of this fixture ticker. But they don't only have good fixtures, they've also been a really good attack so far this season. Not something that we've expected to see from Everton over the past few seasons, but they've looked really solid this season. Some nice attack and play from them, so I can see them doing well. The likes of Ndiaye and Grealish are 2 good picks on Wildcard. Spurs fourth in the table with Wolves at home, Leeds away, Villa at home, Everton away, and then Chelsea at home. The next 4 fixtures are great from an attacking perspective. You can see them scoring a few goals in each of these games. It's just about which Spurs attacker to go for. I see a lot of people going for Richarlison, and he could be a good short-term punt, to be fair. I also like the look of Xavi, and Kudus as well is always a great pick. In fact, Kudus may be the best pick given that he is the cheapest of the bunch. And finally, Chelsea in 5th with Brighton at home, Liverpool at home, Forest away, Sunderland at home, and then Spurs away. Not the easiest fixtures, but you can see that it's their attack and strength that is bringing Chelsea up the rankings here. They've just got such a good attack, and again, you can see them scoring against each of these teams. It's just about who's going to score those goals. I think João Pedro is really the only Chelsea attacker worth looking at right now, with Palmer out injured and so much available options in all the other positions. You're not sure who's going to get rotated, but I'd at least expect João Pedro to start most games. On to the stats review, where we analyse the best performing players statistically. Players in red are the most expensive and in green are the cheapest, and the size of their bubble is relative to their minutes played. Starting with the goalkeepers, you can see Donnarumma in the top right here. He doesn't have quite a lot of minutes yet compared to these other keepers, but he did join midway through the season. Raya also up there in the top right, and then on the far right of the plot, lower down, is Pope. I think these are the 3 keepers everyone should be looking at in Wildcard. Pope is only 5 million, so he is cheaper than the likes of Raya and Donnarumma, but you would back Raya to get the most clean sheets over the course of the season. I think he's probably the best pick on Wildcard. On to defenders, we're looking at defensive contributions against their expected goal involvement. In the top left are the DEFCON monsters, Senesi, Tarkowski and Van Dijk, continuing to pull away. They've just been racking up so much DEFCON every game. And then on the other side of the plot near the bottom right are the players with high expected goal involvement, maybe not so much DEFCON, and that's Calafiori, Munoz and Timber. And then in the top right, these are the players with a nice blend of both, Anderson and Chalobah. They have a bit of attacking threat and a bit of DEFCON potential, so really nice picks there, especially Anderson if you want a nice balance of attacking potential but also DEFCON potential. Onto the midfielders, again we're looking at DEFCON against expected goal involvement. Salah is near the bottom of the plot here, so he's not really been that great from an expected goal involvement perspective. Obviously, he's not going to get those DEFCON points either. I just wanted to see where he was in this plot before we remove him, because he is skewing the colouring system here. So let's remove him from the plot and get a better look at the rest of the mids. we can see Bruno in the far right here. He's got the most expected goal involvement of any midfielder in the game, followed by Mbumo, who doesn't really get that much defcon, and then Semenyo, who has a nice blend as well. Bruno and Semenyo are two really good picks on Wildcard. They have obviously really high attacking potential, but get the odd defcon point. I wouldn't expect them to rack it up every single game, but maybe one in every 6 or 7 games they will get the defcon points. And then in the top left, again, the defcon monsters. That's Caicedo, Garner, Anderson at Forest. These are the players that are just going to continue ticking along. I know Caicedo actually has 2 goals already this season, but you can see from his expected goal involvement, we don't really expect him to continue on that trend, but I do expect him to get defcon most game weeks, to be fair. And then looking at the players with a nice blend of both, Ndai kind of sticks out here as someone who has good attacking potential, but also good defcon potential. And you've seen Everton's fixtures too. I think he is a good pick on Wildcard for sure. Moving on to the forwards, we can see Haaland in the top right here. We're looking at fixture difficulty against expected goal involvement. So Haaland has the most XG in the game by far, and also really good fixtures. I think he's an absolute lock-in on Wildcard with how good their fixtures are and just how dangerous he's been looking. But let's remove him from the plot to get a better look at the rest of the forwards. We can see Mateta in the far right. He's got really good expected data, the second most after Haaland for the forwards, but the fixtures aren't really there for Palace. On the other end, we see Richarlison at the top. He's got really good fixtures, actually decent expected goal involvement too, so he is a good punt on Wildcard, I would say. And then the likes of Beto also showing up with good expected data and, you know, decent fixtures too. Gyökeres, another interesting one because he's got good expected goal involvement, but Arsenal's fixtures aren't the best. I'd imagine that this Newcastle fixture coming up is what's dragging him a bit. And then after this game week, I would expect him to shoot up towards the top, but we will see how he gets on in game week 6. Speaking of game week 6, I know a lot of us are looking to Wildcard, and this is what I have gone for. I was going to say what I would go for, but I have actually wildcarded now after this abysmal start to the season. Bear in mind, this wildcard comes with a bit of a disclaimer, being that I am 6 millionth in the world right now, so I've got to make a few differentials to try and catch up rank because the template for this game week 6 wildcard is so strong, and if I go with the exact template, then there's no way I'm catching up with everyone. So this is what I've gone for. And just to show you the players that I have absolutely locked into my team, Raya is locked in with how good their fixtures are. So is Gabriel. Great defense, good fixtures. I think I could see them holding them for the long run. I've also got Van de Ven in defence locked in with how good Spurs' next 3 fixtures are, and Spurs have looked quite solid defensively. I've also had Van de Ven since the start of the season, so I didn't have to pay the extra premium for him now that he's risen in price. And then Senesi, just an absolute defcon monster. Good fixtures too for Bournemouth. He had to be in there. Followed by Alderete, a 4 million defender from Sunderland who's got good defcon points so far. So I'm just happy to have him at the last point in my bench. In the midfield, I've gone for Semenyo. He's just been on fire all season. Great form, good fixtures. He's got to be in there. Another player who has to be in there is Reinders. I think at his price, he just offers so much value with the attacking potential that he provides, but also the 90 minutes in a City side that really have good fixtures going forward. He had to be in there. And also Bruno, another player that I was debating whether he was an absolute lock into this team, but I think he is for me just because he's on penalties, he's got really good expected goal involvement, he's got defcon potential, and they don't have Europe this season, so Man United are just focusing on the Premier League. That's why I have him in there. And then Josh King finishing off the midfield locks. He's 4.5 mil. He's been getting decent minutes for Fulham. I think he just saves me a bit of budget to afford the other players that I want, and hopefully I really don't have to play him either. And then locked in the forward line is Haaland, João Pedro. I think Haaland had to be in there, which you've seen from the data that I showed you. João Pedro, another pick that I just think he provides a lot of value with what he offers. He's going to play a lot of minutes in that Chelsea side, and they're just such a strong attack, and he seems to be at least one of the focal points in their attack, so I want him in there. Also forgot to mention Dubravka is locked into this side with having a 4 million goalkeeper that plays. Is just, he's got to be in there. In terms of the players that aren't locked into this team, we've got Gvardiol, Xavi Simons and Evan Nilsson, so only 3 players that aren't locked in. I think the rest of them are very template, but I wanted to switch it up a bit with a few of my players. I think Gvardiol works really well with the rotation that I've seen with this squad. They've got really good fixtures over the next few games. I can see a few clean sheets for them, especially this Burnley at home fixture. If I didn't have Gvardiol, I was going to go for Dan Burn initially, but he plays against Arsenal and I kind of wanted to bench Gabriel for this fixture just in the off chance that Newcastle do get a goal, and I can see Man City having higher clean sheet odds than Arsenal this game week with the Burnley at home fixture. So I like Gvardiol for this fixture and for the next few going forward. GW6 in the midfield, again, the next three fixtures are so good. Spurs have been a good attack as well, and I can see him starting to find his form in the Premier League. He's looked really good over the past few game weeks, not really had too many attacking returns. He had an assist in his first game, but he's just looked really dangerous and again, almost like a focal point for Spurs. And he's also on set pieces, which is great for expected goal involvement too. So I like Xavi Simons in there as a bit of a differential. And then Evan Nielsen finishing off the forward line. He plays Leeds away this game week. I really like him for this game week. But as you can see, I do have 2.1 million in the bank, and that is most likely to do, and I'll show you now, Evan Nielsen to Gyökeres next game week. So I know I'm kind of banking a transfer here. I just think that Evan Nielsen has a higher chance of scoring than Gyökeres does against Newcastle, and I'm going into game week 7 with 2 free transfers, so I'm more than happy to spend one of them on Evan Nielsen to Gyökeres because I just see Evan Nielsen as doing better this game week and I want to capitalize on that slight differential. Then it would mean that I'd be rolling in game week 8 and 9, going into game week 10 with 4 free transfers, and then most likely doing Gvardiol to Burn and Van de Ven to Anderson for both of their fixture swings. That's my initial plan. I'll put my hands up now because, you know, plans like this really never work out in FPL. Someone gets injured, someone gets suspended, something will go wrong, and if I do manage to stick to this plan, then that would be a miracle, especially considering how this season has gone for me so far. But I'm looking forward to how this wildcard performs. I know it is fairly template, but I've tried to throw in a few differential picks and hopefully those are the ones that really bang for me now. So there's my wildcard, and that is all for today, folks. If you made it this far in the video, then thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, one thing you can do is like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. We're aiming for 10,000 subs by the end of the season, so join the community if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, have a good one.